Stay frosty and head over to EasyMut.com for the cheapest MUT coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 40 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Yo, ora brothers, what's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, I got a big one for you guys today. I've actually wanted to get this video out for quite some time, but this is a big topic that could hold monumental positive consequences for the Chargers. We're going to talk about why it is absolutely possible for the Chargers to acquire Bill Belichick this offseason. Now, I know the moment those words left my mouth, there was probably some fans out there shaking their heads. If there's any Patriots fans happening to watch, they're probably pulling their hair out right now. But really, I like to be bold with my deep cuts on this channel, and I never drop any hot takes if I don't think there's a good chance of it happening. This is one of those hot takes. Belichick to LA. Now, if you're not convinced or have major doubt, give me a chance to plead my case here, because a move like this wouldn't only be shocking to the NFL world, but it would also put the Chargers in a position to potentially become the next dynasty team. The Chargers could position themselves to win their first Super Bowl, all with one move this offseason. Now, this is a big one. It's a big video. I totally get that. Try to sit back, enjoy the video, and please, I invite you guys to comment your thoughts on this topic down below. I'm going to make several points here that are meant for fan feedback. But before we do get into this video, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. The Chargers, in the minds of many fans, are the most talented team in the league with the worst record, and some would say the worst luck. But something just keeps popping in my head, something that Drew Tranquil posted a few weeks back. He quoted Einstein and saying, "Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity." And when it comes to the Chargers, it's becoming difficult for me to chalk up the crazy amount of close losses to bad luck anymore. There is something happening or not happening behind the scenes that is causing this team to underperform, and I think it starts and ends with coaching. Now, Anthony Lynn is coming off of a win from this past Sunday, so I don't think it's in the minds of a lot of fans right now to replace him this offseason. But I remind you, as amazing as that win was, it still came against the Jets, the worst team in the NFL, and some guys think we probably should have won that game by more. But I'm not saying all of this to be a bummer, okay? I've stated several times through the last few years that I really do like Anthony Lynn. His character and wisdom are something I definitely look up to. But even with that said, I think his time in Los Angeles is running out. I hate to say it, but, you know, these losses, most of them by one score, are really stacking the chips against him. He's a decent coach, but I think his mindset as a run-heavy coach is just not the right fit for the Bolts anymore. And ultimately, the underperforming past few seasons of the Chargers do fall on his shoulders. I know there's a lot of blame to be, shifted around to the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, special teams coach, but it really is his responsibility to address those. He's trying to right now. I just saw a post earlier that he is moving George Stewart out of the special teams coaching position to something else. So he's trying to make moves right now, but it may be just a little bit too late. It might be time to move on. And I think for the most part, everyone, even the front office, probably knows this by now. Now, this opens the door for the Chargers in 2021. A change of culture, change of attitude, an opportunity to make our own luck. And it's going to be a very highly coveted position across the entire league for any potential head coach. So now let me drop some reasons, some logic behind this statement here, guys. Number one, the Justin Herbert effect. The Chargers are positioned right now to win football games, and the biggest contributing factor to that is Justin Herbert. If you think about it, Herbert is probably the most valuable player in the league right now. Yes, I still think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, but Herbert isn't really that far behind, and that's kind of crazy to think about. And Herbert doesn't carry with him an almost $500 million contract. Wait, actually over $500 million. Absolutely insane. For the next 5 years, Herbert's Herbert's rookie contract is going to open the door for the Bolts to win now. We've seen this work in the past for guys like Jared Goff with the Rams or even Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs when they made their Super Bowl runs. Their low cap hit at the highest paid position in football leaves the team a lot of space to sign their studs and even load up the roster with talent. Surrounding a guy like Herbert with even more talent, be it an upgrade to the offensive line or bolstering the defense, could really push this team over the edge. The Chargers are arguably the most intriguing team in the league right now for any new head coach. It's an opportunity that cannot be wasted. And again, the window isn't huge, 4 to 5 years, and that window closes once we pay Justin Herbert the big bucks. We need a guy to come in here right now that knows how to not just win games, but Super Bowls. We're thinking bigger picture here. And there is no better coach alive right now with that resume than Bill Belichick. Reason number 2, the Patriots rebuild. The Patriots, after winning 6 Super Bowls over the past 2 decades, have kind of hit a road bump right now. Most of this is arguably due to the departure of future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady, and this leaves the Patriots in an awkward situation for the foreseeable future. They need to rebuild this roster from the ground up, starting at quarterback. Sure, Cam Newton has been serviceable, but he's not the answer for more than a few years. The Patriots need to position themselves to draft their quarterback of the future. The issue here is, even with a record of 4-6, they really aren't positioned to draft their quarterback of the future in the 2021 draft. They currently hold the 13th pick in the draft. By season's end, many believe the Patriots could end up with an 8-8 or 7-9 record, and this would place them even further down the draft board. Now, I won't rule out that they could make a monster trade to acquire a guy like Zach Wilson out of BYU or even Trey Lance, but the way the chips are falling, I think their best option right now would likely be Kyle Trask out of Florida, who they may need to end up trading up for anyway in order to acquire. Now, I do believe that a coach like Bill Belichick could make a guy like Trask a star, but he's very far behind the other 4 quarterbacks that are projected to be drafted in front of him. It's a big risk. So instead, why not look to greener pastures? Tom Brady did this offseason, opting to leave the Patriots in order to join the bolstered offense of the Bucs. And many believed Tom would never leave New England, but he did. And at this point, I don't see any reason why a guy like Bill Belichick would stick around with a team that essentially has to start over. There's a team in sunny California that has everything he could possibly need to go on another dynasty run. A young top 10, maybe even top 5 quarterback in football, elite receivers, elite playmakers on defense, including one of the best pass rushers in the league in Joey Bosa. And many of these stars are already locked up for 4+ years. It's basically a championship wrapped up in a nice bow. If the right head coach can come in and lead this team to its full potential, I think even Bill Belichick would have to consider this option over painstakingly rebuilding the Patriots over the next 5 years or more with no guarantees. Reason number 3, Tom Telesco and Bill Belichick both fit LA. Now, one of the only gripes that I've got with Belichick is his lack of ability to fully capitalize on draft picks. Yes, he is the acting GM in New England as well as the head coach, and he's been awful on draft day for many years. Sure, he's been great at finding hidden gems in the middle or late rounds, but most of his draft picks over the last decade have been absolutely atrocious. Now, here comes my only contingency with hiring Bill Belichick to coach the Bolts. He needs to keep his hands off of the draft. I wouldn't mind him consulting with middle or late round picks because that's where he's found his most success, but he needs to leave the big draft decisions to our current general manager in Tom Telesco. Yes, if we hire Bill, we have to keep Tom as well. But in a way, this contingency almost takes this whole idea into another level. As many of you know, Tom Telesco has been nothing short of a home run hitter in the draft for many years. In his tenure, Telesco has drafted the talents of Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, Denzel Perryman, Joey Bosa, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Desmond King, Derwin James, Uchenna Nwosu, Justin Jackson, Jerry Tillery, Drew Tranquil, Kenneth Murray, and now, of course, the crown jewel, Justin freaking Herbert. Now, sure, every draft of his hasn't been perfect. His worst came back in 2014 when his best pick was probably Jason Verrett. It was a decent pick, but obviously the injury concern was valid as he was never able to stay healthy for the Chargers. And the rest of his picks that year really didn't make up for it either. But for the most part, Telesco has been drafting slam dunks for most of his career. In my opinion, in regards of drafting, Tom is one of the Bolts' biggest assets. You must keep him as acting GM if you hire Bill, because with their combined experience, this duo could start dominating the league as soon as 2021. Let Tom load the roster with talent. That talent would then be handed over to Belichick to receive some of the best coaching and mentorship you could possibly get in the NFL. Like, just imagine a second how much more deadly the Patriots could have been this past decade if they had a guy like Tom calling the shots on draft day. Yeah, pretty crazy to think. I still do think there would be a risk of Belichick trying to get his hands on the draft even if he isn't the GM, but you really have to weigh out the pros and cons here. The cons, maybe our draft isn't as good. Hopefully that isn't the case if Tom Telesco is still there. But the pros, we have the best coach in the NFL by far, in my opinion. That's definitely something to think about. Now, reason number 4 to bring Belichick to LA, I think it's the perfect destination for a new beginning. In regards to the Chargers and Belichick, their stories are kind of meeting at the same point right now. The Chargers, having left San Diego, started up a new life in Los Angeles, drafted their quarterback of the future, are still kind of in the first chapter of their new beginning. And for Belichick, the departure of Tom Brady turned out to be a pretty big deal. That duo dominated the NFL for decades, and that book closed last year for Bill. He is now at a crossroads. Stay and rebuild the Patriots, or build his legacy with a new team that's ready to win now. The Chargers right now kind of feel like a storybook hero in his second act. Things are gloom. They obviously possess the power to rise up and conquer, but they lack the wisdom and confidence to take the next step towards greatness. They need a mentor, a teacher that can pass their wisdom to a new, young team, kind of like Yoda and Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. This team needs their Yoda, and Belichick needs his Skywalker. The Empire right now can kind of be looked at as like the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a powerful team so long as they have Patrick Mahomes, and it's going to take something big to usurp that power in the AFC West and ultimately the entire league. The Chargers need to make that happen. They need to make a bold move if they want to stay relevant in this division. Like, imagine the waves that this would cause. The Chargers would likely be viewed in a much different light, and the Chiefs would be shaken in their boots. A brand new Belichick-led Chargers team would definitely shift power in the division. Now, that being said, before we conclude, I do need to mention that we do not know the details of Belichick's contract with New England. I'd imagine that he could leave whenever he wants, but there's no way to be certain of that right now. But still, it's worth mentioning. So in conclusion, ultimately, the best argument I can and will continue to make in favor of Belichick coming to LA is Justin Herbert. Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time, and he became that with the help of Belichick. Herbert is just now starting to realize his potential, but the road ahead is going to be long and challenging now that the league is aware of his potential as well. I think Belichick, with the help of Pep Hamilton, Tom Telesco, and his surrounding roster, could help Herbert reach new heights. And ultimately, the Chargers need to win now. They have the quarterback, they have talent all over the roster, they have a high draft position, as well as multiple additional picks in 2021. Now that we really know who Justin Herbert is as a quarterback, it's time to throw everything we've got into winning a Super Bowl in the next 4 to 5 years. It's probably the best window of opportunity we're going to see for decades. And when you see opportunities like this, you must make a big move. I truly believe that move is Bill Belichick. And this one move, realistically, it's not outside the realm of possibilities, could spell a Chargers dynasty. Well, guys, that's all I've got for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Just like I invited you guys at the top of the show, please leave your comments, your concerns, or questions in the comments section below. This is a pretty big topic, guys, and obviously this is something that I'm really pushing for, but I kind of want to know the consensus of all Chargers fans as well. Some people aren't as on board with this as I am. There's probably good reason for that, but at the same time, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty.